Hi, welcome to the show. Today's topic is a subject that is extremely controversial. So we picked it because we knew it would get us some cheap, eyeballs or listeners or whatever, because everybody gets titillated by exciting, controversial shit. So today we're going to talk about middle aged men like myself chasing young girls. Yes, by that I mean legal age. I'm not looking for, not fishing for cops on here. Hello. No, I'm talking about women in their 20s or 30s, kids. Anyway, no, women get offended by this, especially if they're in their 40s, 50s, 60s. They get very offended. So I've just offended half of my listening audience, perhaps more, because I'm popular with the ladies. Whatever. Uh, but it's something that comes up, when famous people are inevitably dating someone 20 or 30 years younger than they are, famous men, I should say, usually. Nobody bats an eye, you know. And yet, when an ordinary person does it, it's the opportunity to beat the crap out of the man. And of course, most of your shrinks will argue that the man is trying to compensate for his fear of death, fear of aging, fear of losing his virility. And it's probably true. And the young lady probably has daddy issues. We know how that works. And that's usually not going to end well. Although there are May December marriages that have worked out great. But there's always an exception to these things. Always. Yeah, just as soon as you think you've got it pegged, here comes a couple that it breaks all the rules. And, I can remember in the past stories of people who got married and the audience were trying to guess how long's this one going to last, and I can remember several in which people who I respected said there is no way, they're not going to make it, this guy's going to cheat, she's going to do whatever. And those are the marriages that are still there. All the perfect ones, all the great, they're all hate each other. It's sad. So I gave up on predicting what makes a relationship work a long time ago. I don't know. I don't even know how to have a relationship. Really, I shouldn't say that, but I'm trying to learn. The key seems to be being good with yourself and not needing it. If you don't need a relationship, I don't gotta have a woman. Sorry. I just kind of think it might be nice. I do not want a relationship right now, personally. So I try to. So I think knowing what you want is important at that moment, even if you don't know what you want in the big picture. So, and by the way, I'm hearing an echo in my ear. Sometimes this may help my presentation. So I'm experimenting with it. So bear with me if I sound a little odd. I don't know if I do or not. But anyway, I specifically pointed out age gap relationships, specifically older men and younger women. Um, there's a huge if you can put on one side of this of a generation gap today, we had the big one in the 60s, this huge difference between the World War II generation and their kids, the hippies. It was shocking. I remember as a small child how big this generation gap was. We have a generation gap today. We have the boomers and the Gen Xers, who themselves are different, but then we have everybody, all the millennials and everything since then. And these are very different people. They grew up in very different times with different expectations. They grew up in a culture and a society that was in a different stage of development with a different general attitude that they were surrounded by. And this has affected, in my opinion, their attitudes, their outlook on the life and the world. And in my opinion, not well. It has not done anybody service to grow up in a declining time. or in a time in which the society's old structure is in decline. I don't believe that the future is going to be a decline. I don't believe, I'm not a pessimist. I'm an optimist. I think the future is going to be fantastic. I wrote a book about it, about Your Fantastic Future, I think I called it. It was 20 years ago. But anyway, I still believe that. But growing up in a time of elongated, stretched out depression, really, kind of a emotional depression in a malaise in society, waiting for the next setback. It's got to do a number on your psyche and on your emotional makeup, on whether you believe in possibilities and potential. I sometimes wonder whether the shockingly large number of atheists, for example, amongst the young generation is the result of growing up in that kind of world. I know a lot of people who call themselves religious when they're young do so because they were raised in religious households and they were the kids who, this is my belief, they were the kids who did what mommy and daddy said. You know, there's the rebel, there's the one that does whatever they're told, whatever. And the ones who do whatever they were told, they're the ones that are sitting upright and wearing a suit and tie. Doesn't mean they'll be doing that in 30 years, but it's what they're doing now. We have a huge number of, and you could say they're free thinkers, young people, but to me, it's not so much free thinking. This atheism is really a disconnect from the spiritual. It's a disconnect from the magical, from believing in something better that transforms what you see around you, that transcends what you see around you. So that even if the world around you is going to hell, you can visualize and actually believe in a world that is far, far better. And I think when you grow up in a world which has just slowly been degrading, it's really, really hard to believe that such a thing is any more than a Disney dream. And just like kids grow up and say, I don't believe in Santa or the Tooth Fairy, I think they're saying they don't believe in God. Now, I'm not criticizing people who don't believe in God. There are many very intelligent people who feel that way. But I think in general, the average masses out there, they don't tend to be intellectual or deep thinkers. They tend to adopt a general view, one that they think their friends have, and second, that sort of reflects their general life view. And I think that atheism shows that there is a huge spiritual emptiness amongst the younger generation from the millennials on up. And I think traditional religion doesn't address it very well. And I don't think religion in general is going to address this very well. I think they have to see potential, possibility. I talked about this before, the whole idea of inspiring and exciting young people and how they can transform. And I think once again, this subject comes up, you know. Um, so I think there's a general attitude among our young people that has been learned from experience that the world basically sucks, people are basically nasty and mean, and that I have to be maybe nastier than them to get ahead, or I just check out of the system altogether and live off mommy and daddy, or if I can, or otherwise just kind of check out. So we're prime for inspiration. So who's going to inspire them? There you go. That's the question. It's a question I've been thinking about quite a bit, and wonder if I can inspire them from this pulpit What do you think? I'm thinking about it. Love your feedback. Let me know your comments, criticisms. I'll ignore those. And we'll see what happens. But anyway, thanks, guys. Enjoyed our time together, and I hope you have a wonderful day.